All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another stream here for Meeting of the Minds.
All
I'm
right.
joined by my colleague here and ongoing friend, fellow brother in Christ,
Mhm.
Mr. Bob Jones.
Hello. So listen, what are you doing? Watching a stream instead of working on your games?
All right. So yeah, today I kind of wanted to talk about. This is kind of an impromptu stream. I wanted to talk about the hashtag comics broke me. Because Bob and I have kind of I'll give a little background about what the hashtag is and what's going on and stuff like that.
Yeah, because
And
I am completely out of the loop. I've been worrying about a move. Like he's basically filling me in on some of the stuff before the stream, and I'm like, yeah, I'm still kind of processing a bit of it.
yep, not a problem. But anyhow, it is an important thing because here's the thing. As creators ourselves, I've been in the doing comics here a little bit longer than Bob has. And I while unfortunately, so basically, okay. So let's talk what this hashtag is about. So earlier this, I think it was either this week or Monday, or it might have been Saturday or Sunday. Unfortunately, there was a creator who has been in the pros. Unfortunately, I had never heard of him, but he had done some work for, I believe, like Scout Comics, Action Labs, and some other stuff. And unfortunately, he passed away. And now there's not a lot on what happened to him. So generally, when those things happen, and I know Clownfish TV talked about it, is usually because they're more in the know than I am because they've been in the industry. Geeky Sparkles and those guys, they've been in the industry even longer than I have been, and with actually doing pro work and also doing independent stuff. So, generally, what generally happens is when that happens in the course of family is, being asking for people to be very respectful, and I agree with it. Unfortunately, death is something that yes, it does visit us, but the thing is, you have to give. I think people need to be while you can be constructive. I do believe you do have to show some empathy, for
Brethren,
people.
we live in
What's
the
that?
year of our, I said, brethren, we live in the year of our Lord 2023. What you are asking for is something that has died, has gone the way of the dinosaur. It's now all about. I mean, come on, dude. Look at the dude that literally did a little live stream over a guy as he literally died right in front of his daughter, his like 3, 4 year old daughter.
Well, I'm not saying that that's. I think decorum. But the thing is, I understand that a lot of people can be very cold and stuff like that. But I don't choose to be that way. I don't want to be that way. I don't want. I
Oh,
don't want.
I'm
You
not
know,
saying be cold. I'm saying you do not. What are you expecting? That's par for the course these days.
well, it's part of the course for a lot of people. I'm not just saying one particular person in general. I'm just seeing a lot of love lost and people not caring about people all the way across the board. Doesn't matter what political aisle, what sexuality, what you know what I mean. This is for me. I know I'm a little bit more of a literal Bible believer in a lot of things than what Bob is. But I think Bob and I both will agree that, one of the prophecies Jesus said in the end times, hearts will wax cold. And we're seeing it.
I mean, you ain't lying there.
So, yeah, and it's coming from all different walks of life. Like I said, so I'm not laying the blame on everything. But the thing is, what my thing is this. So this whole hashtag, unfortunately, was to bring light of once again how the comics industry is once again treating people, and you and I have heard this time and time again over the years, just how the comics pro industry treats people. I know there's people that we know that were in the comics industry and they've gotten kicked out of the comics industry because of their political opinion or their view on specific topics, or they are they were a creator 15, 20 years ago, and they had nothing to retire off of because unfortunately with the comics industry, it is a work for hire industry, so there are definitely a lot of things that unfortunately, and we're going to talk across the board, that comics are the American comics industry is facing a major problem. Now in Japan, there's a completely opposite thing. They're overworked, where in the United States we're the opposite. We're not getting enough work. So
it's also, you got to take into account, they have a booming and robust manga.
Well, even before their boom, their manga and animation industry has always been kind of been wonky in terms of. Now, I'm not saying that the creators, and I am for workers' rights. I believe that workers do need to have some sort of cushion, but I do believe that you can't rely on just your job to give you that cushion. It's. Go ahead.
No, I understand that, but the point I'm making is for here, right there. Well, they have different systems in place, and yeah, I can understand the point you're trying to make. The point I'm making is they are actually having the industry, like the demand side of things. There we go. I think that's a better way to put it.
Yeah. Well,
the demand side of things compared to the American side, which is, let's be honest, the American comics industry is anything but demand, and indies, while yes, they're starting to gain in popularity and become more robust, the big issue that we're still having, let's be honest, it's pure and simple. Indies are harder to get out to the masses versus mainstream.
Right, and you are going to have, like we were. I was actually talking with a coworker the other day about, introducing him to Common American. I was telling him about Tim, and comparing like how Tim's doing, and of course, Brian, our boy Brian, over there at Rags, and I was telling him like how these successful indie comics have been, now of course. You're looking at Brian and you're looking at Tim, and they're doing things completely different in terms of how they're doing. Brian's booming on Patreon and through Subscribestar and all those platforms that way, where Tim and Mark are booming on Kickstarter. And then you got Doug, who's booming. He doesn't even rely on either one of them. He relies just on doing the project, putting it on the website for sale. So I want to first talk about like why I think empathy is very important, and then I do want to go into how the comics industry, or how you as a creator does not fall into these traps that these companies do, and or these companies. What you could do, even if you do sign a contract with one of these companies, what you could do as a creator to mitigate. If you are a person who wants to be in the arts and stuff like that, there is an inherent risk in that point. So you do have...
And don't forget, if you are like a foreign national, the big two will screw you. Take Spike Valentine. He created the Punk Spider-Man, and they refused to pay him for it. I think he was even into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
and Spike has yet to get any money from Marvel because he is a Mexican national.
Yeah, unfortunately. Which, by the way, I love Spider-Punk. It's a cool character. Like, I liked what Spike has done. He created, because I think if I'm correct, he created that because he loved Miguel so much, so he kind of wanted to create his own version of a Spider persona. And yes, Marvel purchased it, so we don't know what his dealings were with that. But let's step back and let's talk about empathy is very important. So I understand why creators are struggling right now with this hashtag and why they are trying to bring awareness to it. I've been there this last, and Bob will echo this, and he will say I've been there pretty much since last year. I have had been dealing with a fellow creator who, unfortunately, I'm not going to name names with him and stuff like that. Like him and I have just, we were at creative impasses. I busted my butt. I got the crowdfunder done, and then it just kind of everything just blew up just because of personal disagreements between me and him. And it really, like, had been in this funk for a long time. Bob, I know you even noticed it last year, even before, like last summer. We were talking, like, you were like, Chuck, man, what's wrong with you? Because backed off with streaming a lot, because we were used to do streams almost every week.
Yep. Literally every week, and it wasn't just my schedule. Granted, last year I was also working.
That didn't help, but yeah, that just didn't help. But like we would do, like I was working night shift. We would do the stream Wednesday nights, like we are tonight, because that was my day off, and But I just started really getting in this overload, and it was between working a normal job and dealing with the pressures of a failed campaign, of what I did wrong. And then all this work that I put into Sporkman, getting that done, and then getting Spearhead worked on. So, like, I was basically burning the candles at both ends. Now, I didn't have the deadline that a lot of the pros have, and this is where it's something I feel that's something that the pro industry really needs to change. I think this getting comics out monthly needs to stop.
It's great if you want quick turnaround and whatnot, but it's horrible if you want quality. Like,
yeah.
For instance, right now, all right, I'm working on, and I even sent it to Chuck. I'm working on a drawing right now, and if I want this done right, it's going to be a combination of different colors to, like, literal different types of coloring. Like, I've done some marker work already. I still got to finish up marker work, but I'm also going through doing paint for, like, the metal and things like that. And when you are doing things the right way, it takes time. It's not just a slam, bam, thank you, ma'am, let me shit this out, and then, oh yeah, it's perfect. No, it's hard. It is very hard. And if you do, and you got to have everything, like, on point. Your artist and your writer and your letterer. Now, take, for instance, are there people like, for instance, Troy Torres, who does multiple things all at once? Yeah, I mean,
and the dude could get a comic out in 30 days. I think he actually sets the record for Wanpool 1. Like, I think he literally did it in like 3 weeks. Everything.
Oh yeah. But that's the point.
Yeah.
Like, and then you have, like, for instance, that's why I right now am in the process of working on art, because I want to be able to do my comic by myself. And as bad as it sounds, I want to be able to whore myself out to other writers to be able to draw their comic too.
Yep. And as a writer, and on my end, as a writer, I'm also a letterer. I do digital art editing and stuff like that. I do all the pre-press stuff for the comics and stuff like that. So yeah, so it is a lot of work, and I think that's the biggest thing, is that I want to echo that, if you're in these situations, and I get why people want to work for DC and Marvel, and like, I said this to my friend Doug at work the other day, and I said to him, I said, if DC walked up to me and says, hey, for $1,000, we want you to write the next Superman story, I'd be like, you're done. You know, because it is a badge of honor. I think a lot of people want to work on characters like Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, Wonder
Well,
Woman, or whatever
here's the
pro
thing.
comic it could be. It could be Vampirella, whatever.
Here's the thing. I used to agree with you, but now I would not. Dude, in order to make anything decent, I would have you'd have to have, dude. It would have to be more like you, me, and a handful of other indie guys get together, and we'd have to literally overhaul everything in the universe to make it a fucking cohesive universe again.
I'm just saying, I think while I would do that, I don't think I would ultimately take the deal because I think I'm the type of person I would rather work on my own stuff. But I understand why people want to do that because some people working for DC, working for Marvel, or working for Disney, or these companies that we grew up with is almost a badge of honor. It is something that you can like one of the big things is I'm proud of myself is I'm working for the state. Like I've wanted to get into a state job for a long time. Why? Because it pays pretty good. I make a decent salary. I can fund to do other stuff. I can fund to make my comic and stuff like that. So getting a good job like that is great. Now I just got to work on getting employed full time, meaning that I'm actually employed by the state directly, but I'm employed indirectly by the state. But it is kind of that badge of honor, and I understand why people do it. And I think the downside is a negative. I think I wish I could see more of is that we need to see more creators and writers and artists come out and say, "Hey, I know they don't want to bite the hand that feeds them, but they really need to start looking out for their own interests." I think what was it? So I would say Matt Fraction. So yeah, so Matt Fraction, yeah, it was him. So Matt Fraction, who is an image creator, he actually was working for Marvel, and he was working for Marvel, wasn't doing really well in terms of his contract with them and stuff like that. So he left and went to Image and did like a lot of his own projects. Well, he ran into some health issues and stuff like that, where he went back to Marvel with a better contract where he had those benefits covering himself. So I will say that it is important that you as a creator or an artist and stuff like that, you're going to these companies to work for them. Let's say you get hired to write 30 issues of Batman, okay? You better be sure in your contract with DC or Marvel or whatever you're doing, you write to them, you need this amount of, if they say, well, we're only going to pay you this page rate, don't sell yourself short on a page rate.
Nope.
Whatever. So let's say your normal page rate. Let's say you're an up and coming creator, because this is where they farm these people from, and you're an up and coming creator, and let's say you're an artist, you're a liner. Your page rate is $35-$40 a page, okay? But Marvel has that kind of money where they can pay you a better rate. You better argue for that better rate, okay?
Yeah.
Get and this is going to be a controversial take. If you're going to go for any pro job, you better have an agent.
Well, it's not even so much you better have an agent. If you're going to go for any pro job, you know they're going to try to jostle you.
Yeah.
Know they're going to try to lowball you. Because these companies want you to go, well, I am, up and coming. I am, relatively unknown. Who cares?
Yeah.
What you are, and this is especially if you have already established a strong presence online, you can leverage that and be like, you're not getting access to just me. You're getting access to me and my following.
Right. Exactly.
And
So Yeah, so and I know he probably wouldn't do it, but let's say Tim has done pro work, and I guarantee you, Tim, when he goes and do his pro work, that he actually does work himself his contracts the way he needs to work them. Now he does have a full-time job on the side as a audio guy. He's a doctor that looks at ears and stuff like that. Yes. So he may not take as much money. Someone like me, same thing. I have a full-time job. Comics supplement my income, or that's what I hope to do. It's not there yet, but you got to build yourself up and stuff like. But if you're someone, say who can we use as a good example? Tonic Mole. Let's use Tonic Mole as an example. Tonic Mole has he's had a couple campaigns that broke 10K. And, if they came to him and right, because I know he does, his primary job is doing his artwork and stuff like that. I hope that he would negotiate his contract. You have to do that.
And like I said, make sure to point out, look, your social media following is worth more than you realize. Because think about it like this. Yes, you may not have a high return engagement, but you probably have a higher engagement than a lot of these companies have. And these companies, they will do things like bundle, basically, if I remember right, it's called network sharing, where they will buy the views of a site to add to their total views in their network, where you don't have that. You have just your social media presence that you have built up that is organic, all right, not paid for, not astroturfed, anything like that, and that money cannot buy.
I agree, because that's the thing is, because I know that when I was running the campaign, I had somebody email me telling me, hey, I can offer you for this amount of money, I can offer you, this many followers that were bots, and all that those bots would do is just spam my stuff out. And I'm like, but I don't want that. I don't want artificial growth.
No.
I would rather take my 1,800 followers now, and I know not everybody always checks my stuff, but still, my 1,800 followers, and I would rather say I have 1,800 followers that I have built for following who through the since 2016, since I've been on the platform, and vice versa, the same thing. Adding on my, and I'm sure Brian's the same way, and I'm sure Cody would be the same thing. And I'm sure Tim Lim and those guys would be the same way. They wouldn't want to go that false way. I would think they would want to definitely 100%, use that organic stuff. So that is what I would, in terms of why I want to bring back to the whole empathy thing, is because we do live in this stage where, companies, and unfortunately, this is why you got to take it into your own hands. Companies do not care about your mental health at all. And I'll be honest with you, they are there for the bottom dollar. That is all they're there for.
And I'm gonna be that guy. Unfortunately, are they supposed to be there for your mental health? No, they're a business. They're there to serve the community in one way, shape, or form. Now, it does a good business treat their employees correctly? Yes, I will not argue that. The point I am making, though, is that when you sit there and say, well, they should have, as a business, have empathy. No, they are a business. Now, like I said, is it smart to take care of your employees? Is it smart to have it to where they want to come to work? They want to work hard for you because they know in return you will take care of them? Yes. But you have no obligation to do so.
No, and I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. Your business does not have to provide. I think where we need it is we need the business, and this is why I come down to, unfortunately, this is why you got to take we need to start breaking away from having companies, government, everything supplying everything for us. It's incumbent on us to take our own well-being into our own hands.
And I'm trying to start my own editing company and whatnot. I mean,
and I'm sorry to interrupt there, and I think because I want to finish the thought here, I think that's incumbent for everybody to learn those tools, so we don't have another. Unfortunately, we have the same situation happen again. But until and this is what I'm saying is creators, artists, being either if you're an indie artist or if you're working with DC, Marvel, Disney, whatever, you need to take your own health into your own hands. Because here I'm just going to be honest with you. I was to the point where, I'll be honest with you guys, I did feel like dying because I was being so overwhelmed. I did not know how to step back myself. And I got support from Bob. I got support from Brian. I've gotten support from everybody. But what really took me to wake up and realize, because my health was deteriorating completely across the board, what took me to stop and change, I was talking with somebody, and I know most people might not be religious, but I actually had a friend who I worked with at Rite Aid. He texted me out of the blue one day. He's like, brother, I need to pray for you. I'm like, please do. I said, I'm struggling right now. And I kind of gave him the overview of what was happening and stuff like that. And I tell you what, that right there, and he would check in with me every couple days, and he would say, how are you doing? I'm keep praying for you. That does wonders, having somebody being that support structure. Yeah, and I did have that with my best friend for a long time. But I was feeling myself with my old friend. I felt myself distancing. We were no longer on the same path, let's just say. And it's a shame because, I love Eric still to this day. I have no ill will against him or anything like that. I just could not be around the toxicity anymore. It was getting to me.
And here's the thing. Sometimes you just have to admit that your paths differ from someone else, and if you're lucky, it's just temporary, and if it's permanent, well, I mean, you will always have the good times and the memories and whatnot.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing is, and then I know, Bob, you and I, we've lost touch with a lot of people from our community. We don't talk to people as many as we used to, just because life changes. I know it's rough and stuff like that, and the way I am as a person, I've always seen that people come and go in my lives, there are people who are going to remain in your life. There are people that are going to change. I don't want to lose touch with Bob, but one day something could happen. Bob might find someone, and he goes on to build a family. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, Bob. I'm just using it as an example. I suspect people will come into people's lives for a particular reason. If you are by yourself and you have no friends, I really highly suggest, if you don't have a friend, find someone older. If you're a female, find an older female. If you're a male, find an older male. Form a friendship. You need someone to bounce your stuff off to. And I don't say, like, the nice thing was Bob and I, we could talk pretty much almost everything. Just like my friend Eric, him and I could talk about almost everything. We have disagreements. There's times I've been frustrated at Bob, and I guarantee you Bob's been frustrated at me. How about it? Yeah, and so getting back on topic with the whole comics, broke me thing. So I was there not only because I was having an issue with my best friend, it was affecting, because I was also in a business with my best friend. It was affecting us doing work in comics, and it was creating this environment in comics that I didn't want to do the work anymore. So I completely understand why people get frustrated, why people struggle, why people have problems. And, I see why the guy, unfortunately, if he did commit suicide, it's a shame. that he did. It's just saying no, he had nobody to reach out to. And sometimes I know that um, I've been there where I've been like I've been at my lowest, and sometimes you don't want to talk to people, and you just keep shutting. Although your mind knows you need to talk to somebody, you're just in that cycle where your mind is like, no, no one's going to be able to talk me out of this, and you keep getting worse and worse and worse and worse, and until once again I had somebody say that they're going to pray for me. That I realized I'm like, you know what? I need to wake up. I need to take my life in control. Am I still gonna struggle? Yes, because unfortunately we're in a business that is unforgiving, and unfortunately, that's why I want to be independent. And I want to bring up this thread here by Crystal McGee, who is a great creator, by the way. Her and I have talked through the years. She's got her book, The Good Night. So I definitely like her. She's a fantastic person, but she doesn't bring up some good points. Delving into the comics broke me. Hashtag. It's sad to see creators passing, wake others up. The big comic companies are not looking out for your interests. Marvel, DC are not worth your blood, sweat, and tears, especially when they can't pay you on time, as others have pointed out. This is a big thing right here. And this is what causes people to stress out. This is what causes people to take their lives. This gentleman passing is just not the first instance of this happening. There have been other creators I know that have died, broke, destitute because they were in comics industry, and the comics basically threw them to the side. Matter of fact, believe if I remember correctly, the creator of the Max has been suffering and not doing this. So now she does go on to, why not go independent? Be your own boss or collaborate with something original. Take charge of your destiny. Escape the constraints imposed by the corporate giants. Your creativity deserves better than being undervalued and delayed payments. The comics industry is filled with talented artists and writers longing to be heard. Going indie lets you showcase your unique perspectives, untapped ideas, and unexplored narratives. Break free from the cycle of waiting for payments that may never come. Venturing into the independence demands dedication, resilience, and resourcefulness, but the rewards are immense. Creative freedom, control, the ability to dictate your own financial destiny, and do not let your hand work be in vain due to payment delays. And collaboration, of course, she goes more into it, and I agree 100%. So now I know that some people are how do they what if they don't have the skills to learn about to create a business and stuff like that? So if you're an artist and you're like, well, how do I do my own business and stuff like that? If you sell your artwork online through Facebook, through a website or whatever, you're your own business right there.
Well, look at that. It's, a lot of people, let's be honest, there are a lot of people in the space that want to do things, but they don't do anything to be able, like, all right, we're going to use, since we like to, cite people as an example, we're going to use Brian Ball as an example. Here's a man who doesn't know how to draw. He doesn't. Like, have you seen what he says to Luigi Terrell as the...
Yeah, a lot of times it's stick figures and... Yeah, no, I'm right there with him. I don't know how to draw, so...
But he knows how to write, and he sought somebody out that knew how to draw and knew how to make art, and got them to produce art for him, and it turned out to be a massive success. I don't know. I guess you could say I didn't know how to draw, and I spent years teaching myself how to. Now, have I finally gotten somewhere decent within the past couple of years? That's because I finally am being serious about getting my comic out, and I'm like, if I'm going to be... We all remember my attempt to have an artist. It didn't work out as planned. So I said, I went full Thanos and went, fine then. I'll do it myself. And
Well, and mother is necessity is the mother of all inventions. You were forced into that position because you were trying to get an artist who, well, guess what? They ended up stiffing you. So you know what I mean? So
yeah,
you're kind of in this situation where you know six and a half one does than the other. Now, in my case, I wasn't being stiffed by Eric. We were just having creative differences, and what I wanted to do with the channel, he didn't want to do that. And stuff that I wanted to kind of expand on, he didn't want to work on. So it was like really creative differences. But yeah, mother.
necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah. So what you need to do is I want to I want to bring up this tweet from Jen Bartel. Um, Politically, Jen Bartel and I are completely across different spectrums on what we believe and everything. But as an artist, I respect her, and she is a fantastic artist. If I could ever have a cover done by Jen, I would be in heaven. Like her and Colette Turner are like my top two, or Jolene Jones are like my top people I would love to have a cover done by. Maybe Soar Song too, and Anna Zhu. But anyhow, so she goes into a whole thread about how she says, I get tagged in a lot of these tweets from fans asking publishers to put me on interior for certain characters / book. Truth is, I've had to turn down pretty much every offer for interior work because the publishers are unwilling to raise their rates. This is why I largely only do covers. One of the most predatory practices in comics is publishers locking in artists at a certain rate when they sign on to do their first gig with the company. Whether this is a single variant or a 2-page short, they made you sign a comprehensive package for all your rates. I signed multiple contracts like this when I was starting my career and got locked into an absolutely unsustainable, frankly shameful rates. Many artists do that just so they can get a foot in the door, hoping to renegotiate down the road. But most publishers are not willing to renegotiate. And that is a big key right there. Now, she does say that she was eventually able to demand higher rate on her covers. And she said, and she's saying that this isn't small press or indie publishers I'm talking about. She's talking about, yeah.
Marvel and DC.
Marvel and DC.
She talked about the big two, and the fact that the big two has, and let's be honest, people have been complaining about the predatory practices of the big two when it came to their artists and writers for a while now.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of the first things I remember hearing about when I came on the scene in 2018, that Marvel and Disney, Marvel is Disney, but Marvel and DC really have a bad habit of just treating people poorly and doing like horrible things that they know they shouldn't, but they do it anyway because they don't care.
Yeah, I mean, you could see it's there. It's been an ongoing issue. So this is why you got to, and I'll be honest with you guys. So, like, I am a subcontractor with the state of Pennsylvania, and it's not people don't. I don't shy away with that. I do work for the state of Pennsylvania. I'm not going to hide that or anything like that. I don't have any embargo. But I am a subcontractor. I am a contract work for hire. And I am going through the same thing with my company right now because, PennDOT pays a particular rate to my company. My company pays me a completely different rate than from what they get. They get the money from PennDOT. And there's a fight going on right now in Pennsylvania where these contracts are being fought for. They're trying to produce legislation where people cannot be in these predatory contracts. And, and I hope it goes through because I agree. You need to fight and negotiate for everything that you do. Everything you do. If you're going to, let's say you decide to, and this is just, let's say you create a character and you do an ash can and you're approached by a big name publisher or even a small name publisher and they're like, hey, I want to buy your idea. It's a really cool idea. I want to buy your character. and they're giving you piddlets. No, do not sell. Or if you do sell it for, say, let's say you sell it for $10,000, you better make sure that you have in that contract royalties, any appearance. You need to protect yourself all the way across the board, because I, as a creator myself, I do not like seeing fellow creators, and Bob will tell you I am a huge supporter of indie comics and the and a lot of the professionals too. There are a lot of professionals. Yeah, there are some I want nothing. There are people I want nothing to do with, but there are other professionals that I support, like Jen or Jimmy Palometti or Mac Fraction or Matt Hawkins. Politically, we don't even line up, but they're great creators, or socially we don't even line up on what we believe in. But what they do is they do fantastic work, and they should be supported for their work. The problem is, unless they take it into their own hands, like Jen, like Jimmy and Amanda Connor, they basically still do work for DC, but guess what? They have their own company now, and they've been creating their own stuff for years because they realized they weren't getting the work, and so they went and created that. So again, how do you as a creator, be it if you're a writer, letterer, comic or publisher, editor, or whatever, how do you protect yourself? Know what your value is first off. Okay, if you have and let's use this as an example. So our artist, Giffney, when we originally did our first Sporkman comic, he only charged us, I kid you not, he only charged us for the first issue like $500.
Wow.
For the first issue. When we went to Japan, we came back to him because we really liked the artwork and we really liked the work that he did. I mean, he's not the greatest artist in the world, but he matched what we were looking for, that fun, campy look. And so he's like, hey, I know I did this, but my rates have increased. I need to make sure. He's like, I'm having a family now. I need to make sure I'm protected. And he's like, okay, here's what I can quote you on this rate, this rate, and this rate. We're like, okay. And each issue, I believe each issue based on the page count, because the way we did the page count, like the first issue I think was like $800, or we might have got the first two issues done for like $800 or $900, and then like the last one was like $1,200. And then, of course, this last time we did it, he charged $125 a page for the art and ink. He's got a company he's got to do, so he's got to charge the page rate that's going to be sustainable for his company.
Yeah.
So you got to value yourself, as a creator. And I know it's hard, guys. I know it is hard. It is hard to sell your product. It is, especially with all the things going on with Twitter and Facebook and Patreon and all the people, all these companies cutting off different things, these APIs. It is getting harder and harder and harder to sell your product. If you are a small-time creator, get yourself on every platform you can. If you're a comic creator, you better be on Global Comics, Indie Planet, Comixology. You better have your comic every which way you can in digital, okay? In print form, either do print on demand through like Indie Planet, or do yourself a favor, buy in small bulks, so if you have buy like 30 or buy like 100 issues, then that way you build up yourself enough stock if you want to. Now, some people are going to say, well, I don't have the money. What if I need to raise the money to get the project done? Make sure you have your plan. If you need to raise money, you better hope to get yourself, and I'll be honest with you, if you're doing art if you need art to make money, Open yourself up for commissions to build the money up so you can pay to get your pages done if you're doing sequential art. If you're a writer, get yourself offer to write another project for money. Offer if you're a writer, offer to edit somebody's project, because as a writer, you're going to be most likely probably better at editing. So like,
so what you're saying is do the Matt Trin approach and just take editing jobs on the side.
Yeah, or I'll be honest with you. Before COVID hit, when COVID hit, I lost my job, and I was waiting for another job to start, and I put out there to everybody. I'm like, hey, I can do lettering. I've lettered 4 comics. Here's my work. And, Illustrator Monk came to me and he's like, hey, dude, I know you're struggling for money. I have a 10-page, sort that I need to do. Or it might have been 5 pages. Maybe he's on 5 pages. He's like, what's your rate? I'm like, I'm still relatively new letterer. I'll do. I know most people charge $15 to $20. I'll charge you $10 because I was newer.
Yeah.
So I knew my value. I could have said to him, well, no, I want $45 to letter a comic. Well,
no.
That's unrealistic. I'm not experienced like that. Now, I actually have taken couple projects where I didn't get paid because I was trying to build basically trying to. Now, should I say if you're a writer or an artist or a letterer who's been lettering for some time, am I saying to take free jobs? No, do not. Do not do that. Yeah, do not do that. But what I'm saying is,
if you're like me, nobody knows who you are, and like, while my art has drastically improved, I'm still not, so to say, battle tested on an actual book. So if someone were to come up to me and say, hey, I want you to draw my book, well, I'm not going to be charging the normal, insane page rate. I'm going to be charging $20 per page because I'm not, you know what I mean? I don't have the ability to charge the 100 and 150 for a page.
Right. Exactly. So you do have to gauge. Now, once again, I hope that artists, as you get better, for instance, like I know that a lot of people like to go to Filipino artists and also South American artists because their page rates are a little bit different. They actually make a little bit more to the dollar. So they make $35 a page or $20 a page. $20 in those countries are going to go far. But you shouldn't be taking advantage of them and say, oh, I'm only going to pay you $10 per rate. No, you're going to pay their rate what they think they're valued at that time. And I hope that they're not just shorting themselves out and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I want people to how can I say this?
You want people to prepare for war?
Well, yeah, I want people to prepare yourself. Because I'm going to be honest with you. Life sucks, and you do not know where you're going to get side blinded from at all.
I mean, you ain't wrong there.
You're going to get smacked 6 ways from Sunday. Everybody know. Most of the people that listen to us know that about 2 years ago I almost died. And if I didn't have health insurance, luckily through the state, I could have died. The doctor literally told me if I hadn't come in and I went to sleep instead of coming in, I probably would have died because my Potassium levels were so low, they were surprised I didn't have a heart attack. Plus, then having COVID on top of it, having a bacterial infection, pneumonia in both my lungs. So I was in a So like I was in a very bad mess. So this is why you need to take care of yourself as much as you can. Take your health into your own hands. And I'm going to tell every creator out there, if you're not making a lot of money that supports your job and you can't do it, either you're going to have to take a second job or you're going to have to get assistance. I'm just going to be honest with you, because you're going to things are not going to get cheaper at all. I actually, partly why I was trying to build a comics book was to provide supplemental income to come in. I wasn't looking for a lot of money, but I at least wanted the comic to sustain itself, and that should be a good goal. That's a good goal to have.
An attainable goal.
Attainable goal, yes. So like I think once again, so like, what is the point like of what I get that there's this argument where a lot of people say I love the craft and I love the craft and I'm willing to work for pittance because I love my craft and stuff like that. I'm going to tell you to don't do it. Don't get yourself into the Minecraft. You want to do that if you want to get into what you love. It's going to break. It's going to break you apart. I'm going to be honest and tell you. Not many people get into a job that they really love.
It's not just that. Let's be honest. When it comes to comics is one of those industries where, yes, you have to make sure that you love it, but at the same time, you are better off doing everything yourself and pushing your own. You know what I mean? You do realize that you're screen sharing Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm trying to keep it on the hashtag. Comics broke me.
Gotcha. But no, the point I'm making is there's a lot of, I guess you could say, people who their entire take the drummer that replaced the original drummer on The Offspring. When COVID happened, he was out. Now he was smart and saved up his money. And so when he was out because he couldn't get the shot, he wasn't completely SOL.
Yeah.
But that is one of those prime examples, if you will, lurid tales of caution that we should all remember. Because, yeah, the industry is specifically designed to shoot people out and spit them. Like, shoot people up and spit them out. Like, they were pretty much yesterday's news.
Yeah, and it's just not comics. It's entertainment in a whole. Yep. If you besides gaming, but if you look at movies, Hollywood, how many actors that you know of that you grew up with are still in Hollywood?
Not many. I mean, the prime example. I mean, I'm going to take Billy Zane as one. You saw him pretty much everywhere in the early to mid 90s, and then after Titanic, he just gone.
Yep.
And you'd think after that he would have been everywhere because that would have been him.
And he came off of titles like The Phantom.
Mm-hmm. Great movie, by the way.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, we could have had a sequel. Because the dude did Titanic, he was great in Titanic, and and he's a
the Tales from the Crypt. I think it was like a Bordello of Blood or something like that.
Demon Knight.
Yes, that's what it was. That was a great movie.
Yes, and I think he's a fantastic actor. And then you really look at him and what he get relative to B-rolls. Mm-hmm. James Van Der Beek, same way. Joshua Jackson. For the most part. Now he got Fringe, which was lucky. He did get Fringe after a little bit after Dawson's Creek, but there for a while he wasn't doing anything until Fringe. Now, but
then don't forget, it's funny you mentioned Dawson's Creek. I mean, take for instance Jonathan Taylor Thomas. You figured as big as he was in the 90s that he would have had a robust and long-lasting career. How robust is his career now?
Yeah.
I'm just
So
saying.
so now I do want to talk about. I want to talk about.
Video games?
No, I want to talk about the whole fact of cancel culture, canceling people over different opinions and stuff like
Excuse me, it's not there's no such thing as cancel culture. It's only consequence culture.
that. I don't like the fact of just because somebody says a topic on this topic, and somebody does come on a particular person who I'm friends with, who by the way is not CG at all. By the way, Tyler is not CG at all. Period. Yes, he has followers who are CG because he does not. He wants to sell his comic to everybody.
Yeah.
So he has a good relationship for everybody.
Well, and remember that was one of the whole reasons why we stopped really being like one faction or another, because we were seeing the bifurcation of the like indie comics, and we were like,
Yep.
no, we wanted to sell comics to everybody.
Yep, 100%. And unfortunately, what we're seeing is now people are going after and canceling people for their opinion, and they are attacking people left and right. And I don't agree. I don't care. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. I don't think that should be happening at all.
So it's like having War Campaign back, but without the them actually being beholden to CVS, the EVS, I mean.
Yeah, kind of, but it's on the other side again.
Yeah. Dude, but my whole point is this is nothing new. We are not saying, let's be honest, but we are seeing what has been going on for years now. It is just another incarnation of it. And instead of worrying about it, I'm just going to do like I was doing. Now, is there still certain fights that I'm not going to give up on? Well, yeah, I am never dropping the Jim Healis bit. Never. But that's just because of the fact that I'm still really mad about that. Jim did nothing wrong. But that was the big problem. We had, with War Campaign, a bunch of individuals who, not even War Campaign, we had, with early CG, a bunch of individuals who took it upon themselves in many situations to spy on groups and in groups, and it really did hurt CG. And it also taught us that CG is pretty much the big problem with it is we don't know we don't know who is a good faith or a bad faith actor. I think that's the best way to put it.
No, I do think I will say the flip side of everything is, so if we look at, like, for instance, here's somebody who said comics saved my life. So skill issue. Okay, well, that comes off a little dickish, a little bit, but I think comics saved my life. Comics almost broke me. I just vowed not to let it break me because I value myself more than that. I would rather take a step back. And here's the thing. So if you are struggling in the comics industry, or you're struggling right now doing your art or doing your craft, I have told people time and time again, and I'm going to echo this: you need to step away. Step away. You need to take a break, be it for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, a week, a month, a day, a year, whatever. You need to step away because you cannot let something either that you love so much, and I get it, comics, I love, Bob will tell you, I constantly read comics all the time. I got over, I have over 3 terabytes of comic books on my hard drive between manga and regular comic, DC and Marvel, and that I read constantly. I'm constantly reading comics.
And the funny thing is I know a lot about comics, but the problem, and I've read a lot of comics, but the problem is when I tend to read something, it's generally news or education related. But then again, that's why my channel is a nerd number 30. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, and nothing wrong with that. But as I'm saying, like it is imperative that you as a creator, you have to value yourself more than your job, the gig, your job. If you're on a gig, I'll be upfront honest with you guys. I had to back out of a lettering job. I was doing work with Purity. Give her a shout out, Purity Sin. I was doing the letter. I had done 5 pages of the comic, and just with everything going on, I just, I had to give up the job. And she did get a little upset with me. She's like, well, I really wish you would have came to me, beforehand. And I apologized to her. I said, I was not in a space to really talk about your comic, or to think about it because of everything going on and what I was dealing with. And look, I wanted to be honest with her. Yes, was it a dick move on my end? Should I have let her know earlier? But I thought I could do it. I thought I could work through it. And I had that mentality. I thought I could work through this. This is what's going to give me purpose. This is what's going to allow me to get back on track. What it did was it kept feeding the demon.
Even fighting the beast.
Yep. And I had to... I was glad when her and I talked out. She's like, look, I got somebody else who could do this. Are you okay with me taking back everything? And she's like, you're only 5 pages in. Would you be upset? I'm like, no, not at all. I actually had to back out of another lettering job because I was in the process of lettering for Spearhead. I did actually with Spearhead. I only did half the pages. Giffany finished the rest because I just had so much going on that I just let him finish everything for that. And so, like my opinion is that you got to take care of yourself. If you are working your butt off and you're working 13, 15, 16-hour days for Marvel, DC, or Scout Comics, I don't care what company you're working for, Image, whatever else, you need to 100%, you need to get yourself out of that situation by either taking yourself a break, renegotiating your contract, and in your contract, you better negotiate yourself some vacation time, some sick time, because they're not going to give it to you.
Nope.
So you need to have, you need to counteract whatever they come to you, because they're going to give you the lowest common, like Bob said, they're going to give you the lowest common denominator of what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And it's because they have standard contracts all across the board. So until you negotiate as a creator, so I want creators to take back yourself. I don't want to see this hashtag again. Comics broke me.
All I gotta say is take back your power.
Yeah, take back your power. So how do you take back your power? Get yourself involved in the comics. Get yourself involved. First off, make sure you're going into a project. Make sure you have yourself everything worked out as much as you can. All right. You got to have what you're going to go. You got to figure out what you're worth, what you're going to negotiate on. Do you need sick time and vacation time? If you're somebody who is an artist and you have some sort of health condition, like be it diabetes, Crohn's, PCOS, whatever, you better be negotiating healthcare for yourself.
Yeah, that's true. Because nobody's going to do it.
Yeah. if you're a fairly well-known artist and you've been in the industry for a while, you better have yourself a
It's better. You better have books out there that are of your property, that are yours outright.
that
Because
you
at that point, you have something that is yours that you control, that you can fall back on as a way that your audience will support. Not hoping big companies will support you.
yeah.
Like, because think about it, at the end of the day, comics will always be and I hate to make it sound like this, but comic books at the end of the day is uh, and I want to phrase this right, a commercial market. People are buying a product, and you want to make sure that that product that they buy doesn't damage your brand as well. Just because you're trying to work for a big company, what if that story is pure garbage? Well, then all that time you just spent working on it, it looks bad on you, and and it hurts your brand.
So I'm gonna use a before I go here to the tweet by Billy Tucci. I'm gonna let you guys on a little secret. So we worked our colorist JW who did conventions. He did a 6-issue deal with DC
Oh,
for Hawk. Yep,
mute my mic.
for Hawkman, and it never saw he did get paid, but it never saw the light of day, and he never got any other job offer from DC ever again. He was working on a 6-issue series for Hawkman, and DC decided to, when they were doing their New 52 reboot, they decided to ditch it, and he never saw the light of day of anything for that comic, either creative or rights or royalties, nothing. And he never got any other work from DC ever again. Now, he got work from indie creators and stuff like that, which is great. But yeah, himself. So yeah, here's a tweet. I want to read this because this is another person about taking your hands in yourself. I don't know. Sure, everybody remembers the comic She. If you don't, it was a very popular comic in the 90s about a Japanese assassin. Very one of the sexy girls of the 90s art and stuff like that. So he says, regarding the trending comics broke me. Indeed, comics broke me. And he wrote, out of poverty 30 years ago is because I learned how to publish my own creator-owned IP. God bless you, fans. Cartoonists, here's some free advice. Take charge of your own destiny, life, and that your creations. Learn to create and publish your own IP. Don't ever waste your talent on corporations who deemed you insignificant because they've issued a heinous pencil down order to rob you of your livelihood. There are thousands of resources and those who come before you who can assist you in your quest to be independent. I can tell you from experience, there is no greater career satisfaction than to have someone hand you your copy of your own IP. And 100%, I agree with that. This is even before handing it to somebody else. When I got that first issue of Sporkman in my hands, I cried because as a longtime comic reader, to realize that something I created with my two best friends is in real life in my hands. Like it was life changing. It was a way to say, you know what? I've never done anything else in my life, no matter what I do, but I've been able to create and print a comic.
Yep.
How many people can say that? Let's say it's not. Let's say it's not a comic. Let's say it's this art piece of you create this character that's kick ass, and you're just like, you know what? It may not work as a comic, but you know what? By God, I'm going to give it a cover. I'm going to give it a poster.
And either way, the point is having something of your own that you created and that you developed and put thought into, built the world around, and so on and so forth. Like right now, I'm working on a literal drawing of Raziel. That's my IP.
Yeah. Same thing with me doing Volt Chaos, Celerity, Dead Moon Detectives, which, Bob and I will hopefully, I can get geared back up and start writing again. So, and I'm going to touch back basis on this. So here's the next thing he says. He says, so many creative heroes who have changed our world, Denny O'Neil, David Cockrum, Herb Trim, Russ Heath, all the list goes on and on, all suffered financial and health hardships. Bill Finger.
Yeah.
Bill Finger. Mind you, this is something I want to bring up because, Bob, I know this. I know you echo this 100%. Here's a guy who had his partner shaft him for over 70 years.
Yep. And just now in the past, I think it was 5 or 6 years, they finally recognized.
It was when when BVS came out, they finally recognized it.
And it was all it was, Bob Fisher's design of him in the bat costume, not a strongman costume with just a Lone Ranger mask. That made Batman.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Finger more than Bob. Sorry. Yeah, Bill Finger more than Bob Kane had much to do with how Batman looks than what Bob Kane did. Bob Kane, he had some great ideas, and he created the Rogues Gallery, but Bill Finger created the iconic look of Batman.
Yep.
And this guy got screwed over, and DC let it for 70 years. It took Bill Finger's son, and it took
I think it was son and grandson.
Son and grandson, and there was also the guy from Michael, the guy who does all the movies. He's really important DC liaison and stuff like that. But he left DC a while ago. But he was not Sam Hamm, but the other guy who did a lot with them. But they fought against the estate of Bob Kane to get Bill Finger recognized for being the creator and stuff like that. And I still think he doesn't get the credit he's deserved, even on the movies the way they have it listed.
I know about him and I forget his name.
Bob Kane?
No, Bill Finger. I know Bob Kane's name, but Bill Finger's name, I don't remember. It's not that I don't remember what he did. I don't remember his contribution, but it's because where Bob Kane's name has always been synonymous with Batman, well, that's got to change.
Yeah. So if you guys want to see a fantastic story about redemption, and we'll even look at the Schuster and Siegel, and how much they had to fight DC on just the Superman IP.
Yeah.
And unfortunately they lost the Superman IP. Now they did get to keep the Superboy IP, and they do license it out to DC, but the main DC, they have a credit the way the credit is, but DC they don't have to pay them now. They have to pay the royalties, And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, I creator IP rules, and we shouldn't have IP, we should have copyright laws on a certain aspect. I'm sorry if it is something I created, and I have kids, I don't have kids, but I want to give my niece the rights to Sporkman. I should be able to do it. It should be left in her name. It is our character. It is not some character created by DC and or Marvel. It is our character. We should be able to keep that in the family. Vice versa. These guys that have created some of these iconic characters. Unfortunately, they've been lost to time. We have the guys who created Ghost Rider. You see the ending of all the different credits that are finally coming out with these creators, and that's the thing that happens is when you are beholden to somebody else's creation, you know,
Let's,
look,
let's, let's just call it what it is. When you're beholden to somebody else's paycheck,
yeah,
like it really is a paycheck issue. And these companies know you're going to want to have that paycheck, and basically, if I remember right, the way they used to do this is if you cashed the check, your paycheck, which you need to survive, you were signing away all right. Like this is what they had written on the check,
yep,
that you're signing away all rights and liabilities of the characters that you had created, and it took a literal injunction by the U.S. court system to get these comic companies to stop doing that, and that's why, for instance, you do have a lot more creator-owned characters on these big companies or corporations, or more accurately, they are given proper uh, royalties if it becomes a big enough character.
mm-hmm, yeah,
We know this because, for instance, that's one of the things that EVS reminds everyone of, that he created Atrocitus, and
Dust.
Huh?
He created Dust for Marvel.
Yeah, and he even said, he makes a point. He substitutes a lot of his, or not substitute, but a lot of his income, or for the longest time, was royalties from characters he had made for those companies.
Yeah, so that's I want to see creators, and that's my big thing is I want to see creators taking yourself, and Billy says it right here. I think this is a great wrap up, and he says after Marvel DC abandoned them and left them with nothing. Again, the moral of the funny book story: publish your own creations. Start with a webcomic. Do crowdfunding. Fans are out there waiting for something great. Give it to them by giving it all, and it's well worth it.
Yep.
100%.
I mean,
100% is that I think it's incumbent on you as a creator or as a writer, as an artist. This is just not about comics. It's just not about comics. I really think this
whatever you do, it is incumbent upon you. If you want to succeed, you have to put the work in.
Yep. And if you don't know how to do it, surround your. One of the greatest lessons I learned was always surround your people with people that will grow you. Don't surround yourself with naysayers, because there are many naysayers. I'll give you guys a good example. So years ago, this is before I decided to go back to school. I went to Shippensburg. Unfortunately, I failed out, and I went into the workforce. And I did the grunt jobs. I worked at Rite Aid. I worked at Burger King. I worked at McDonald's. I worked at Giant. I pushed grocery carts. I did retail sales, West Coast Video. I've done. I involved myself with putting myself into jobs that I normally would have never. I'm more of a quiet guy. I'm more of a loner type of guy. But I put myself into job situations where I had to learn people's skills and I had to learn business, because that way, when it came now as I'm older, I have those skills. If you're a young person just graduating from college, or you're getting ready to go into the workforce and you're an artist or something like that, talk to somebody. Go make a friend who's check your friends, see if they have meet somebody who can give you knowledge and stuff like that. Don't limit yourself. I decided to go back to school, and no, not I didn't. No, I was.
I think I have a better way of trying to explain it with that.
No, I wanted to finish my story real quick. So I wanted to do something, and I told my grandparents of what I wanted to do, and they're like, "No, you shouldn't do that. You don't need to do that." And I was like, "But I want to do that." They're like, no, all you do is you give up after a while. I'm like, I don't give up. They're like, well, yeah, you do. I'm like, I've never once given up on anything. I'm like, I've gotten. I said I quit jobs because of the environment, but I never gave up on anything. I said, so the big thing is, you need to not listen to people that say, well, you need to give up. You need to stop doing this. No, don't give up what you like to do. If you like something to do it to where you're not affecting your mental health. But if you are having the problem with mental health, step away. Go ahead, Bob. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to give a better, you were struggling with how to explain it, and I was just going to make it way easier. Sensei put it to me best. He was like, you look at your friends, you see your future. You become those who you surround yourself with. So surround yourself with those who are driven and have goals and want to accomplish something in life, and you will be driven, have goals, and want to accomplish something in life. You surround yourself with losers who want to smoke weed, play video games, and do nothing but scrape by doing the bare minimum in life, like I used to. Guess what? You smoke weed, play video games, and scrape by doing the bare minimum in life. You get the effort you put in. So, literally, the best thing to remember, you are the company you keep.
Yep. All right. So, yeah, I just kind of wanted to touch base on, that topic because I think it's just really important that, like I said, a particular person on Twitter just came off and the way they worded it just really was antagonizing. And I get his point on how he was doing it. And I wouldn't have worded things that way, but I'm not going to blast him or go out there and try to cancel him for a particular reason. Do I believe he should have had a little bit more empathy? Yeah, 100%.
But remember, you're talking to the one person who fucking hates that. Like, I hate that term. Like, mainly because of the word created in the 30s, 40s, it's a newer word. And I believe it's not that you should have empathy. Have sympathy. Empathy is the thought of putting someone else's needs before your own, and sympathy is the ability to say, that is wrong. We should not be do things like that and feel bad for another person. So I think the exact term you should be I guess you could say you're looking for is people should have sympathy, and I guess you could say they should have the ability to put themselves in other people's shoes without putting them before their own needs. Does that make sense?
No, I agree. I agree completely.
It's one of those. I want people to be able to understand that, yes, things are hard. I want people to understand that, yes, you should always look out for your fellow man. But at the same time, people need to understand. Everyone needs to understand that, hey, it's also not someone else's, your triggers are your responsibility. Things that make me mad is not Chuck's responsibility, and things that make Chuck mad is not my responsibility.
Yep.
Now, should we have respect for each other and not be constantly poking the bear? Yes. That's where having sympathy comes in, not empathy.
Yeah.
And I sent you the latest update on what all I've been the painting I'm working, or drawing, whatever you want to call it, that I'm working on. Arts that I'm doing.
The arts and farts. So yeah, I mean, I am. I think comics actually. So where does this leave me in terms of doing this hashtag? I have pretty much stepped away from comics for right now. I do struggle with writing right now, but I'm trying to do other things. I'm going to be like Bob. I'm going to be moving soon, so I got to I'm preparing for that. But I had to step away for quite some time. Now, luckily, I do have another job that supplies that. So, uh, how can I give you best advice to assist you? And I'm not sure how many people are going to hear this. So the best advice I can give you is, you know, um, first off, if you're doing comics alone, that's your first mistake. Unfortunately, you should never be doing comics alone. You should get yourself like a person you can ping yourself off of, somebody who might be able to help you with your ideas, or even if you don't want to bring them on as ideas, or if you want to bring them on just to say, hey, I'm working on this project. Do you think it's a good project? Even just to bounce the idea. Somebody who can be your support structure, be your wife, be your kids. If you're a single dude all alone by yourself, my DMs are open. As a creator, like if you need to talk to somebody, my DMs are open. I'm more than welcome to talk to anybody. Give people advice. That's what my channel was originally supposed to be for, was to be doing comics, providing people with advice to grow your business. And, I kind of like to get back to doing some of that stuff, but I am going to be doing other things, not just that, because that focusing all on comics, I realized is probably what burnt me out. So Bob and I, we're going to be focusing on gaming. I'm going to be doing some other studios. I got reviews I got to do.
He even taken advantage of the fact that what I recently started doing.
Yeah, so I'm going to need Bob to do some editing on and stuff like that. Now I got to supply the stuff for Bob to edit and stuff like that, But yeah, so like I'm hoping to bring more back to the channel and stuff like that. I do have a lot of reviews to go through. I'm hoping one of my first reviews I'm hoping to get done is the Rags review, issue 1 through 9, plus the bonus. I cannot neither confirm or deny if Regina has a sex comic.
I mean, we're leaving that one alone.
Yeah. But yeah, I got on Brian. He definitely gave it. He definitely, yes. But yeah, so like there's that. I do want to get back to writing and stuff like that. But until I get a lot of the mental health stuff taken care of, I'm going to the doctors. I'm on medication. I'm getting stuff taken care of that needs to get taken care of. Because I realized that I was letting myself go, and the only person who can change yourself is you.
Yeah, that is a fact. Like, part of the reason I'm driving me nuts, I've been unable to work out for the past month because my workout area is full of boxes, and I'm just like, oh, I cannot wait to have that like clear of boxes. It's not as bad as it was, because now that I'm going to be staying here, I've kind of having to unpack collectibles, but it's kind of interesting also because you're seeing collectibles that was normally just focused in my room are now being spread out throughout the whole house. Like the kitchen, literally above the fan for the stove, like the cupboards above the stove and the fridge and everything. I have my Star Trek Generations Enterprise, my Batman of Zur-En-Ah, and then the entire Snyder Cut Justice League set that they released with Steppenwolf. I still need Darkseid. That's one I want to get eventually, the Snyder Cut Darkseid, but that's a eventually thing. But yeah, that's bro. But still, I have so many collectibles that literally, at this point, it's just sad, dude. It's collectibles and books, and I haven't even gotten all my books packed up. That's what makes it even funnier. I've gotten half my books packed up, and it was already matching the amount of boxes that my collectibles were. I was just sitting there well, I guess I do read too much.
The nice thing is I was able to scale down a lot of my Marvel figures. Uh, what's weird is like some of them that haven't sold yet. Apocalypse, the deluxe version of Apocalypse, has not sold yet.
I'm partly not surprised. I'm not even lie. Maybe because of the fact that I think a lot of the Marvel figures. I'm going to be honest. All right, take for instance. I'm going to do a quick Google search.
Now, while you're doing that, I was able to sell. I sold my I sold my both two. I sold two Superman figures, the Amazing Yamaguchi one, and I sold the Dark Knight Mafex versions of it. Now I am going to try to keep an eye out for the McFarlane version of that one. I want to definitely get that version. But yeah, I scaled back on books. I sold. I did sell my All Star Superman Collector's Edition. I sold my All Star Superman Absolute Edition of Long Halloween. I sold all my issues of.
I'm surprised. That actually caught me a little off guard.
What?
So, mind you, this is on sale, right? Falcon and Winter Soldier bundle normally sells for $120. These folks have it on sale for $74. I have both of those in the box, as well as Zemo and US Agent. Like, I got all the figures for the series. And I was like, these normally don't sell for that much. Well, apparently I was wrong. So there is a 14. Though I did just find a Sam Wilson in the box for $14. So maybe
I sold Mary Jane. I got the Mary Jane when they came out with the Mary Jane Spider-Man 2-pack. I didn't keep the Spider-Man because it was more about keeping the females. I sold my Mary Jane for $45.
That is ridiculous. Out of the box?
Out of the box. Loose.
That is motherfucking smoking meth. Like, they are literally like all over. Let me get that meth. I'm going to go buy them.
But you know what, though? The reason why it sold, it was a Toys R Us exclusive. And because Toys R Us is no longer...
Yeah. I thought a Middle Eastern company had bought it up and was planning on reopening it.
Yeah, they were planning on putting it in, like, I guess, Kohl's or something like that.
That's not going to work now.
Well, yeah. So, like, I sold that. Like, I've actually moved a lot of my, like, my Build-A-Figure stuff. Like, I moved those. Now, I'm not getting rid of Grayson trade. I'm not getting rid of the New Frontier. I sold Descender right now is up for $63, so hopefully the person will buy them. Those are the collector's edition of those that I'm selling, the hardcover. So I was able to sell a lot of stuff, not as much as I wanted, but I have some other stuff. So downscaling stuff, just making room. Oh yeah, I sold all my Seeker jets that I had from the Masterpiece. I had the metal version of Optimus Prime, but when he was all black, done as all black, the MP Masterpiece version. Sold that one.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. If I were to ever buy me a Transformer, that would be one I'd buy.
Oh, I loved having. My goal was I actually wanted to I originally wanted to have in my collection. I wanted to have like all the Seeker jets in Masterpiece scale, and I wanted to have all the variants of Optimus Prime they released, like Shattered Glass, Battle Convoy, the black version, and then actually having the original MP10 of or MPO1 of Optimus Prime, and unfortunately, I'm just downscaling a lot of stuff. I have a lot of books. Like I have a big, huge box of books that I'm going to be taking to the church, and I'm going to be giving. I went through my books and from school, and I'm keeping like a book for commentary, like one book of. So like I had like for one class, like I with some classes, like I had to have like multiple books of the Gospel of John for commentaries and stuff like that. So what I did was I kept one book for commentary that I really like, and I'm trying to sell them off first and see if I can get more. If not, then I'm going to take them to my church and I'm going to donate them to the church.
There you go.
So I also thought about maybe looking at like a secondhand business. Yeah, but then I also sold my Vita because I have my Steam Deck. Sold that for $150.
I still find it funny how we called that Sony, like when I said, Sony's about to get into the market, because there's already been talk of Microsoft getting into the market of handhelds and things like that. And then you hear that the PlayStation 6 is probably going to be a handheld, and how we laughed.
Well, now it's not going to. PlayStation 6 is not going to be a handheld. There are actually no plans for the 6. They're actually coming out with a separate streaming device now called the Q.
Oh my god! Did they not learn their lesson with the PSP Go?
No. Because it's going to be a device that's going to be 8 inches.
It's going to be a Stadia that's a handheld.
Basically, and you're going to be able to play all your games off of the PS3 and cloud gaming, off your PS5 and cloud gaming. Yeah.
It's got to be just call it what it is. Call it what it is.
Yeah.
It's a Stadia but just PlayStation version. So we already saw how that went with the with Google's version. I am expecting about the same. And honestly, like, can Merriweather stop making me feel bad for shit?
Yeah.
Like, remember, I don't know if you ever saw that the Merriweather comic that he did, where it's with all the various consoles and everything, and Stadia is always the one that's being made fun of.
Yeah.
And then when they discontinued the Stadia, it was all like super depressing, and he made sure that we all felt bad for Stadia. I'm just like, fuck you, Merriweather.
Yeah. All right, Bob. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. Once again, folks, I'm just going to give you words of encouragement, because, we are about building people up here. We're not about ripping people down. We want to build people up to keep doing what you're doing. Bob and I are out there. If you guys got questions, Bob, where can people get to you if they have any questions or, even guidance?
As always, you folks can find me on the Twitters at Bradiac420. You can find me everywhere else at Bob Jones Comic Wars. And don't forget to check out my personal YouTube channel, and that is Adam Nerd and Over 30. And yeah, that's about it.
All right. And guys, as always, you can follow me on Twitter at DeadMoonD. And on YouTube here at Volt Chaos 1975. Same thing with my ID over on Discord. I do not have our channel anymore, so I basically, I am in the Batman and Bob's Discord. If you're there, everybody wants to join there. So,
the Team Batman is actually my personal Discord.
Oh, okay.
I do have a Nerd and Over 30 Discord that we could probably, use for that if you want to.
Yeah. If people, yeah. I think that would be more important. Yeah, so if you want to get an invite, just message Bob to see if you can get an invite to the Nerd and Over 30 Discord. It's where we can talk, and if you guys have questions or whatever. If not, just keep doing what you're doing, folks. I believe that people can be creators. I believe people can do this. Just don't let things get to you. If you can, step away, meditate, pray, whatever you need to do, you'll find your center, because you cannot.
Remember, the first rule about Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club. The second rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club. Sorry, I couldn't remember.
you need that center balance of everything in life. Life is all about balance. You doing too much in any one direction is going to leave you in a lot of problems. So, folks, if you need to step away from comics for a little bit, be it Twitter, social media, whatever, do it, because life is too short to be allowing things to drive you crazy and to allow these things to build up and hurt your mental health.
I mean, no,
So
no. If you let it blow up, like build up, and then you have some sort of superpower that allows you to like control the explosion into like powering a city. Yo, keep that shit up. We need you, player. We need you.
Yeah.
we need you powering our cities, man. Like some sort of fucked up Monsters Incorporated.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right, guys. So I want to give another shout out once again to John Romita Sr. Thank you for all the good work that you did on Spider-Man and all the other comic books. We definitely lost a big legend. So too sad to see so many good creators and artists dying these days. Seems like we're losing more and more people as we go. I know it's part of getting older and stuff like that, but don't check out before it's time. Folks, pray.
On top of that, dude, let's be honest. We're not ready to get that old yet. Like, we were not ready.
Yeah, no, I never realized I'd be 48 soon. So, yeah. Folks, keep trying. Don't give up. The hustle is hard. I'm telling you, it is hard. It is going to be hard. So like Bob said, surround yourself with good people, and you'll be able to do better. You'll ever be better. Focus on what things that matter most. Doing things that you love. If it's video game playing, if it's whatever, just keep doing what you're doing, but balance yourself. All right, folks. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here, and I wish you guys the best thing. We will check you out on the next Sportcast. I'm not sure, or the next Meeting of the Minds. I don't know if when we're going to do that. I got to start planning on how I want to do this, what topics we're going to talk about. I am thinking about we might start hitting some characters and what we like and stuff like that. I know, Bob and I are big comic fans, and we want to go through and. And yeah, you know what? I know I'm going to probably get flack for this, but I do want to give a shout out to Eric July once again. He raised over $1 million.
Yeah. And on his own, and what's funny is a lot of people, like the people that hate on Eric July, they hate on him because he refuses to toe the fucking corporate line. I'm not going to lie, Eric July got me. Since I can't say a certain R word on YouTube, that is like a staple of my fucking vocabulary, but because of that, I've been saying goofy ass.
So, yeah. So congratulations to him. And again, guys, God bless. And we will see you again. Good night.
Later, folks.